world where the line between daring escapades and public safety blurs, high-speed chases through Santa Clarita Valley, bizarre confrontations in Edmonton, and audacious thefts in the Bronx come to life, painting a vivid picture of the unpredictability and danger inherent in police work. From young men leaping from moving vehicles to evade capture, to a suspect using a bag of chips as a makeshift shield against a taser, and a woman boldly leaping over a counter to snatch cash. These stories unravel the chaotic dance between lawbreakers and the law. But what drives individuals to such extremes, and how do law enforcement officers maintain order amidst chaos? Through the lens of these gripping tales, we explore the relentless pursuit of justice and safety by police, juxtaposed against the backdrop of human ingenuity and desperation. This narrative not only highlights the complexities and risks of policing, but also poses a critical question. How far are we willing to go in the chase for adrenaline, freedom, or survival?
Do that, so that side door right there. She says he's not in there 100%, hadn't seen him in a month. She told me at HQ that this chick's been calling in tips that he's here, and she's let us in, and I just wanted somebody to come to me so I can...
It seems like there's an emergency involving someone who may have been injured. The person giving instructions urges someone to roll over and count, possibly to assess their condition. They mention signaling for medics and seem to be coordinating with someone named Mike. There's a sense of urgency as they talk about securing cars and getting the injured person to the hospital immediately. The injured person is reassured, and there's a call for them to hang on. Phrases like "door, baby, keep pressure" suggest that there might be efforts to manage a wound or injury. The presence of an ambulance is noted, and there's a directive to use a specific door due to the noise. Overall, it appears to be a high-stress situation, focusing on quickly getting medical attention for the injured person.
Okay, let me see, baby. Come here. Listen up, baby. Come here. Where's your vest? Get your vest undone. Okay, let's see if it's through. Roll over on your side, baby. Okay. Here. 367, signal 10 minutes.
There's a sense of urgency as Eddie addresses another person, possibly in distress. Eddie asks about a basket and a fence, indicating a need for information or context. There's repeated emphasis on time, suggesting a concern about the situation's urgency. The phrase "stay with me" is repeated multiple times, indicating a strong desire to keep the person conscious and engaged. The use of pressure at the end suggests that someone might need to apply pressure, possibly to a wound, for medical reasons. Overall, the situation appears intense, with Eddie actively trying to keep the other person focused and providing necessary assistance. "Hey, listen up, Eddie. Here. Where's it? Where's your basket? Your fence? Time. Okay. You okay?" Urgency and concern for someone's well-being are evident. In the first video, there's a focus on coordinating medical assistance and addressing injuries with a sense of urgency. In the second video, Eddie urgently seeks information, emphasizing the importance of time and repeatedly urging the person to stay conscious.
Sponsler remains calm, looks around, and makes sure the officers are adequately distracted before following up her previous trick with an even crazier encore.
The Lufkin Police Department had their hands complete with 33-year-old Tasha Sponsler. They had just secured her in a police car when, believe it or not, she managed to slip one hand out of her handcuffs, despite being right under the officers' noses. It was like something straight out of a magic show in Vegas. Tasha stayed cool as a cucumber, scanning her surroundings to ensure the officers were busy elsewhere. Then, she pulled off an even more jaw-dropping move. Somehow, she commandeered the police cruiser and took it for a spin, dodging spike strips by a hair. But, as all wild rides do, this one came to an intense stop. Turning down a deal that would have landed her a 16-year sentence, Tasha opted for a trial, hoping for a better outcome. Unfortunately, the gamble didn't pay off. The jury wasn't in her favor, and she ended up with a sentence that was almost triple the original offer.
It's 1:15 p.m. at the Ready Mart in Spruce Grove, Edmonton. And this man, 28-year-old Richard Parasa, has just been caught trying to buy a can of soda.
So, it's the middle of the afternoon, right around 1:15 p.m., over at the Ready Mart in Spruce Grove, Edmonton. Picture this. 28-year-old Richard Parasa gets busted trying to buy a soda with a credit card that's not his. Cops are called to handle the situation, but Richard isn't about to make it easy for them. In a move straight out of a chaotic movie scene, he somehow manages to toss his girlfriend, Brittany Burke, into the mix, tangling up with an officer and the store's owner. It's like they're all playing a spontaneous game of Twister. Richard then makes a break for it, shirtless and without any kind of escape plan. When an officer aims a taser at him, Richard's choice of defense is a bag of chips. Yeah, you heard that right. But soon enough he realizes he's not exactly holding a winning hand, so down to the ground he goes. The officer tries to keep the situation under control, even as Brittany tries to get involved by the Pringles section. Then, Richard decides to up the ante with some inferior choices, getting tased. Meanwhile, Brittany's not just going to stand by. With the front door no longer an option, she opts for a more creative escape route through the back. But instead of using the door, she goes for the ductwork, crawling past holiday decorations in a bid for freedom. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. She ends up falling through the ceiling and onto aisle 5, but walks away from it somehow. Eventually, she gives up and surrenders. By the time backup arrives, Richard and Brittany are taken into custody, leaving the store owners to deal with a rather unexpected renovation project. And for their adventure, they rack up a total of 11 charges, including using a stolen credit card, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer.
Is the alleged suspect caught on camera in this next video released by the NYPD as she approaches the cashier at this Burger King in the Grand Concourse section of the Bronx.
In an astonishing display captured by NYPD and shared across social media, a seemingly ordinary visit to a Burger King in the Bronx took a dramatic turn. Initially blending in with the usual lunchtime crowd, a woman, who at first appeared to be just another customer, executed a bold move that caught everyone off guard. Without warning, she vaulted over the counter with the agility of a seasoned athlete, her eyes locked on the cash register. In a matter of seconds, she snatched $250, initiating a chaotic scramble among the staff. The employees, determined not to let this audacious act go unchallenged, spring into action in an attempt to apprehend her. The scene that unfolded was one of intense struggle and determination, as the staff tried to physically restrain her. Yet, this woman proved remarkably slippery. Evading their grasp, she darted back across the counter, weaving through obstacles with an ease that left onlookers in disbelief. Her escape was as swift as it was unexpected, vanishing into the bustling streets of the Bronx before the police could apprehend her. This incident, though alarming, did not end in a total loss for the Burger King crew. Despite the thief's success in stealing a small amount of cash, her haste to flee the scene left her without the chance to grab food.
Where police are in pursuit of a truck and trailer reportedly stolen by the owner just 10 minutes earlier. An even bigger problem, the vehicle's owner says there's several loaded guns inside the truck.
So, we've got this wild chase happening in Lamar, Arkansas. Picture this, a truck and trailer get reported stolen by its owner, who, by the way, mentions there are loaded guns inside, making the situation even more intense. The police chase isn't getting anywhere fast, even after 10 miles. Then, the cops throw a spike strip on an on-ramp, hoping to stop the truck. And it works. They pop a tire, sending an icebox flying out of the truck. Despite that, the truck pushes on, but not for long. It's running on a rim now and is about to give out. Just when they're about to pull over, things get really interesting. The driver's door swings open, and it's crunch time for the cops. They're ready for anything, guns possibly involved. They shout for the driver to get on the ground. And who steps out? A woman is only wearing sunglasses and a headpiece of some sort. The cops quickly tackle her and get her under arrest. Turns out she's 48-year-old Deidre Lewis, now facing serious charges like aggravated assault, theft, reckless driving, and fleeing from the cops.
48-year-old Deidre Lewis was charged with aggravated assault, theft, reckless driving, and fleeing.
These stories, ranging from high-stakes chases in Arkansas to daring escapes and attempted thefts, highlight the unpredictable nature of crime and the quick response and resilience of law enforcement and bystanders. Each incident, whether it involved a dramatic police chase, a bold theft attempt at a fast food restaurant, or a chaotic escape from custody, showcases the challenges that come with maintaining public safety. The outcomes also remind us of the legal and personal consequences that individuals face when they decide to break the law. Despite the varied scenarios, the common thread is the commitment to accountability and the continuous efforts to keep communities safe from harm.
He's getting back in the vehicle. Another one back in the vehicle, and finally, CHP in the pursuit now, right behind. Is that CHP or Sheriff's? Yeah, CHP right behind him here. We're going to forget about that one passenger, but we now know of the driver and at least one other passenger. These were young men that jumped out of that vehicle. And
out of the vehicle. She's getting back in the vehicle. CHP right behind him here. We are going to forget about that one passenger, but we now know the driver and at least one other passenger. These were young men that jumped out of that vehicle. In a high-speed chase through Santa Clarita Valley, a dramatic scene unfolds as passengers make risky moves by jumping in and out of a fleeing vehicle right before the pursuing police. This chase isn't just fast, it's chaotic and dangerous. One moment, a passenger leaps out, and the next, they're hopping back in as the car weaves dangerously through traffic, even going the wrong way into oncoming vehicles at one point, narrowly missing a head-on crash. The commentators David, Ellen, and Chris can't hide their shock and concern over the reckless behavior and the potential for harm, not just to those in the car, but to innocent bystanders. David reflects on the bizarre decision of a passenger to jump out and then back in, pondering the desperation or panic driving such decisions. Ellen warns that all three individuals in the car are considered dangerous. Chris points out the vehicle's aggressive maneuvers, including when it speeds down the wrong side of the road before correcting course, but continuing to flee at high speed. As the chase progresses, Chris speculates that the driver might have been trying to drop off his accomplices, but a police presence foiled their plans. Despite the dangerous driving and close calls, the police are determined to end the chassis affeli, but are prepared to take decisive action, flooding the area with officers. The chase moves through various streets and even a parking lot, showcasing a desperate attempt to escape that seems more doomed with each passing second. The commentators agree that this kind of driving is reckless and a clear danger to everyone involved, including the broader public.
there's just enough traffic in the way here to really get somebody hurt, especially if it continues driving like this, blowing through red lights. And
David points out that the chase is happening in Santa Clarita, where, surprisingly, the roads seem pretty empty. This lack of traffic could let the driver of the fleeing vehicle speed up even more, which makes stopping the car a real challenge. He emphasizes the difficulty of safely bringing the vehicle to a halt under these conditions. Chris notes that there's noticeably less traffic as the car moves away from the main highway, the I-5. However, there are still enough vehicles and obstacles around to pose a significant risk of an accident, especially with how recklessly the driver behaves, ignoring red lights and potentially re-entering lanes meant for oncoming traffic. The driver's bold maneuver over a median was a close call, but thankfully he's now back on track, heading east on Soledad Canyon Road and then making a sudden turn into what looks like a residencial area, possibly an apartment or condo complex. Inside, the driver starts circling, seemingly playing a cat-and-mouse game with the police officer following him. It looks like the chase might end in a dead end within the complex, with police helicopters and California Highway Patrol officers closely tracking the vehicle. Suddenly, the situation escalates as the driver and a passenger abandon the vehicle and start running on foot through the complex, putting the single chasing officer at a disadvantage. It's unclear if the fugitives are familiar with this area or if they just chose it randomly. They continue to dash through the private property, with law enforcement trying to catch up. With only one CHP cruiser on the scene initially, the pursuit becomes even more complicated as they navigate through the residential area, waiting for additional deputies to join the chase. Chris wraps up by noting the ongoing race through the condos, leaving listeners in suspense about how the situation will ultimately resolve.
Just Chris Christie, this is Giovanna Lotta, and alongside Mark Brown, we're joining you now. And what a wild pursuit. These guys are driving, or have been driving, so dangerously, and now we are looking at them running through this complex, putting the people who live here likely in danger.
Giovanna Lara and Mark Brown are providing updates on a tense situation where suspects from a dangerous car chase have now taken to foot, running through a residential complex in Santa Clarita. Giovanna notes the danger these suspects pose, not just to law enforcement but also to residents, highlighting the reckless abandon with which they've transitioned from driving to running, potentially endangering locals. Chris chimes in, offering a silver lining. The LAPD's helicopter is still overhead, providing real-time updates on the suspects' locations to ground officers. Despite the initial police officer losing track of them, the coordination between LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department ensures a continued pursuit. The suspects are described as desperate, attempting to evade capture by scaling fences, weaving through backyards, and even hiding in bushes within the apartment complex. Their effort to find a hiding spot seems futile, with the law enforcement's vigilant eyes from above. David emphasizes the visibility of the suspects to law enforcement, urging residents in the area to secure their homes by locking their doors. He highlights the potential danger these suspects represent, mentioning that they are believed to be armed. David's advice underlines the seriousness of the situation, stressing the immediate risk to the community as the suspects try to find refuge or perhaps even an escape route through backyards and possibly into someone's home.
There are two people armed, possibly armed, thought to have been armed, who are now running around in your neighborhood, going through backyards.
One more time, Jay.
Chris, one more time? Chris updates the tense situation, trying to pinpoint the exact location of the suspects, now on foot, near Soledad Canyon Road. They've stumbled upon an apartment complex, specifically around its backside, desperately seeking a place to hide. The exact location is unclear, but they're moving along what might be a bike path, dangerously close to a community pool where people, including a little girl receiving a swimming lesson, are trying to enjoy a peaceful Wednesday afternoon. The stark contrast between the serene pool scene and the chaos brought by the suspects, believed to be armed and dangerous, heightens the urgency. Law enforcement soon spots them, leading to a tense standoff with officers from both LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department, guns drawn, prompting the suspects to surrender without further incident. Mark reflects on the moment of surrender, relieved that despite the high stakes, everyone near the pool, especially the children, was unharmed, and the situation was diffused without gunfire. The suspects, now compliant, are detained by officers from two different agencies, marking a peaceful end to a potentially violent encounter. Giovanna shares her relief, recounting the dangerous chase that led to this moment. She highlights the reckless driving on the roads, the threats to public safety, and her fears of a tragic outcome, which thankfully were not realized. Chris clarifies the location as the Villa Metro apartment complex, emphasizing the scale of the area involved in the chase. Mark concludes with a summary of the event, from the erratic driving of a heavy Cadillac Escalade to the successful apprehension of two suspects, while noting that the fate of a third suspect, who had earlier exited the vehicle, remains uncertain. The community's safety, momentarily jeopardized by a high-speed chase and a foot pursuit through residential areas, is finally restored, closing a chapter on what could have been a disastrous day in Santa Clarita. The series of events described, ranging from high-speed chases in Santa Clarita Valley to chaotic confrontations in Edmonton and a daring theft in the Bronx, encapsulate the unpredictable and dangerous aspects of police work. These incidents illustrate the lengths to which individuals will go to evade the law, and the dedication and quick thinking of law enforcement and bystanders in ensuring public safety. Whether it's a car chase involving risky maneuvers, a comical yet dangerous encounter involving a bag of chips as a defense, or a bold daylight theft, the underlying theme is officers' relentless pursuit of justice and safety in the face of peril and unpredictability. These narratives highlight the complexities of maintaining order and the inherent risks involved, underscoring the courage and commitment required to protect communities from harm. What does the unpredictable nature of these police encounters reveal about the challenges law enforcement faces in maintaining public safety, and how does it impact their strategies and responses? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to hit the like button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. Your support means a lot to us. Take care until the next one, and feel free to drop a comment sharing your thoughts. See you soon.